I'm going to show you how I would edit these newborn photos in Lightroom and then export out into a document file, which then we would open up into Photoshop. I'll try and be as quick as I can, and I shall start now. So I have selected 22 images and put them into my quick selection here, and now I'm going to edit the photos. So I'll click on the first one and then do develop. Alright, so the first thing that I am going to do here is click on my healing tool and see if I can remove the cable. It's done a very good job. Alright, you tend to find with these ones it's not so good, but I will give it a go. Let's see how it works. Yeah, it tends to kind of go blurry like that, so I'll remove that, we won't worry about that. Alright, so click done, and the first thing that I can see is that the face is very, very red. So I am going to go down here to HSL colour and click on the red one, and then I'm going to change the hue so it's more of a lovely brown. Okay, it's helped here as well, but I'm going to try and click on magenta, change the hue towards the warmer colours. It's not really doing too much there. Sometimes that can do it. Okay, alright, another thing that I sometimes do is do the red luminance, and so we can just see what happens there. So I quite like that. Quite like it on the face but not on the fingers. So I think I might just leave that as it is, like that. Okay, alright, so I like my yellows, or these yellows, to be more red, so I'm going to go down here again and I'm going to click on the yellow colour and I'm going to change the hue. Now you can see, go to the left it turns red and to the right it goes green, so I'm just going to make it a little bit more red. Okay, alright, and I can try with the shadows a little bit, but I like it exactly the way it was. So that's the first image done. One thing that you can do to help save on a little bit of editing later on is the clarity. So extremes, back to where we were, and just -13 just to soften up the skin and the area a little bit more. Alright, so that is the first one done. Okay, here you can try doing auto and see what that does, but that makes it a little bit too cool. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it down a little bit here, and then I'm going to try shadows, but I like it the way it was. You can see this here, the histogram, so you can see it's dark, but I like to allow a little bit of space here because I brighten it after I've done everything, all the editing in Photoshop, but I can bring it up just a bit to about there. Alright, so same thing, I'm just going to come down here, click on the red one, make it like this, not quite so orange, and then try the magenta one, but that's not doing anything here. Go on to this one and then just make it a little bit red. Alright, so once I'm happy with that, then I will just click on these images and sync, and then I can just check all because I haven't done any cropping or anything, and synchronize. So hopefully when we go in we will now see that all of these images are consistent. There we go. Alright. Okay, alright. Actually, I forgot. The first thing I usually do is go in and do... no, just ignore that. I'll do that afterwards. I was going to say do the cropping, but I'll do that afterwards now. Okay, so I'm just going to go through them and just see how I like them. I'm still pretty happy with that, but I'm just going to make it a little bit brighter, and I'll drop the shadows down there a touch, and again bring it up and drop the shadows, bring it up here, I'm happy with that. This one's a little bit lighter. That's fine. Okay, so now we're onto a different one. So I don't sync. I sync every set. So I don't put it right across the board. So then I'll do the first one and then sync all of them from there. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is the exposure. And I'm going to desaturate a little bit. Okay, then same thing. I'm just going to come down here to the reds. Just make it a bit warmer. And then this one, I can see that the luminance is going to work really nicely. So I'm just going to use a little bit of luminance there. I'm going to try the magenta again. No. Okay, so that's something that the feet will do separately in, I will do separately in Photoshop. Okay, and I might just take away some of the yellows here. So let's just see. Yeah, I'd say that that was perfect. All right, so I might just try seeing what the highlights look like here. Nope, I'm going to keep it as is. Right, now I'm just going to sync all of those. And then I'm just going to go and check them. All right, so first one's good. Second one's good. That one's good. That one's fine. I might just drop the shadows on this one or the blacks. Nope. Just shadows, just a tiny bit. And on this one, I'm just going to bring the yellows in just a little bit more. All right. Yellows in a little bit. No, I'll leave that as it is. Alright, so they're all done. Okay, now with this one, I'm quite happy with the colour and everything, so I'm just going to come down and reduce the yellows. And then see what this one looks like and this one looks like. So I'm going to go with the blacks and bring in some more dark into the picture because this one's a really nice one in black and white as well, so it's good to have the contrast because we've been shooting into the light here. Alright, I'm happy with everything there, but I'm just going to come down to the reds and see if it needs just a little bit more. Nope, that is absolutely fine. And maybe the luminance. Now, can you see what that does here? See, some pictures it works really, really well for, and others it doesn't. So I actually really like it here, and it's going to help with the editing a little bit later on. Okay. Another one that I do use is the yellow, moving the yellows into more of a red hue. So here we can see that's really green, and then it's moving to red. So I am just going to bring that down just a little bit because there was some yellow in the skin here, so that will help. All right, so that one's done. And then this one needs a bit more work. It was a bit bright, so the direction of my light could have been a little bit better. All right, so the first thing that I would do is bring this down a bit. And then I am going to go down, do exactly the same thing. Go down to the reds and move the reds to a little bit more orange. And I'm going to try the luminance. Yeah, I quite like that. That looks quite good. Alright, and then again, sometimes it does work, so it just hasn't done so far. Alright, so that is that one. Alright, now the highlights are a bit bright for me anyway, so I'm going to bring those highlights down and I am going to try to add a little bit more contrast in there. So I'm going to bring those blacks down just a little bit, and I am going to reduce the saturation just a tiny bit, I think, just a little bit. So the yellows are a bit too saturated for me, so I am just going to bring those down. I always take it down to the extreme so I can actually see what's going on. So I am going to take it to about here, and then I'm going to change the hue just a little bit to about -11. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to sync those two, and then just check. Yep, beautiful baby. And we caught that smile. All right, so I'm now going to go on to this one. It's always a bit tricky looking at it in this angle. All right, so back up to the top again. Here's my histogram. Again, you can check it on your camera just to see how bright your images are. You never want it to be this peak up here, you know, on the right hand side. So the first thing I'm going to do is just up it a little bit, and then I think everything else is fine. I might just drop those highlights down. I'm just going to take them down all the way actually. All right, then I'm going to come down. Now you can see the skin is a little bit blotchy here, so on this one I am just going to reduce the clarity to help me a little bit later on. Okay, everything else is fine. Now I do use this one quite a bit, and especially with the light drops. So you can see again, swinging it up and down helps you see where you started and where you want to go. So I'm just going to take it up to about here, and then going to come down and going to just take it to about there, and I'm actually going to try to reduce the saturation just a little bit. Okay, and then the luminance. So you don't want to remove all the detail, so I'm just going to take it to about there. Alright, then we come down, just keep the sharpening as it is. You don't want to sharpen it too much because it destroys the image in my opinion. Alright, now this is a really good one. You can see here how it's dark at the edges and it's actually bowing here. So that's just where the lens, how the lens has taken it. So now we're going to enable profile corrections. This is a great little button. So it flattens it out a little bit and it takes away the vignette. And then we're going to just come down. Everything else is absolutely fine. And I am happy with that, apart from I'm just going to reduce those yellows. So here we go. Take those yellows down to where you're comfortable. I quite like it about there. All right, so I'm happy with that. So now I'm just going to sync these four. And then we're just going to have a little check. There we go, beautiful Bubba. So I might just check the highlights here. Might need to do a little bit of adjusting. Just going to brighten it up a little bit. And yeah, those can stay down, and then if you're blowing out some parts, I mean, you can see it's not completely blown out at the top there, but to even it out you can remove the contrast. So that's what I'm going to do. And then just bring the blacks in here. And everything else can stay the same. Let's take it down just a little bit. Yeah. Okay, and then this one. Let me try a little bit of luminance. Yeah, I like that luminance there. I'm going to go back and do a bit of luminance here. And a little bit here. Just going back over my images. Just making sure they're consistent. Alright, okay. So right, done. We'll put a little bit there. Okay, now we're on to the last three. So you can see it's quite a lot warmer than the previous images, and that's because it was with my 50mm lens. So if you go onto the image and then you come up here to the histogram, you can see what your settings were. So my ISO was 64, I used my 50mm lens, and I shot at f1.8 at 200th of a second. Alright, so now if we go back to here, you can see ISO 100s, I used my 24-70, shot at 2.8 and 200th of a second. It will always be at 200th of a second because I'm using strobe. Right, so you're going to be bringing in more ambient light. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to make it a little bit cooler, not much, just a little bit. And then I'm going to bring up the exposure just a bit. It's probably about there. The exposure looks pretty good. I'm going to just bring back some of the highlights there. Maybe take down a tiny bit of clarity, not very much. Come down. I'm just going to see what the darks do, but no, it removes too much contrast. Too much contrast for me. Alright, so now we're going to come down to the reds, and you know the drill. So just going to make it a bit more brown. And then the luminance. You can see here how it highlights the Rembrandt lighting that we've used, which is here. So the light was here, you can see it here, the light is coming down here and it's lighting just this little corner of the cheek and this area, which is what you want. So that's quite nice, I like that effect. Alright, we're going to go into the yellows and just delete them a little bit, just a tiny bit actually, I don't mind it the way it is. And then we're going to come down and do enable profile correction. There you go. Now one thing that can happen with light backdrops is that it attracts blue. So I tend to just click on the cyan colour and take down the saturation and the blue. Now you can see. So this is how we first viewed it. And then this shows you where the blue actually is, and now we've just removed it. So as I forgot to do it before, I'm just going to go back in and remove all the blue off all the lighter coloured ones. So blue, blue, all the blues, that's it, and then this one here, that one's already done. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And then I just sync those settings into here. And then check. Beautiful. Beautiful. Right, so now the last thing that I'm going to do, which actually I tend to do at the beginning, but maybe it makes more sense to do it at the end. I'm just going to drop the saturation down on this a little bit. I'm just going to try the luminance on this one. You have to watch, because you see here, it can remove too much of the colour in the fingers. So I think I might just leave it as it is. So you can click on this number here and then tap in 0 and it'll take you back to the beginning. Alright, so now I'm just going to do the cropping. That's alright. And just take it down just a little bit. You can just check the babies in the middle here, so you can see where I was a little bit out. So I'll actually correct that in Photoshop. And then here we can remove a lot of that stuff. And then here. So you can see how it's cropped this top part here, so I would do the cropping in Photoshop so I could leave the space above the hat. Alright, this one. Now I'm actually putting my finger on the shift button so that it keeps the dimensions the same. And then I'm just going to swing it round so that the baby's head is facing upwards. So you can do this in camera. I do it in camera quite a lot, but what you don't want is to take it like that. So it's fine to take it like this, but then I just swing it round. It's a nicer angle, right, for me anyway. So holding the shift button down, then swing it round, just bring the baby's head up. Again, it's personal preference, but it's just the way I like it with these particular shots anyway. An upside down one. Sometimes they come out really nice, so you just have to make sure that the head is upwards like this. Alright, because I might prefer that one. Alright, and here is a cute little grabber. There we go. And then this one. It's quite nice to take it on the angle like that via the camera. Alright, and then we are nearly there. Nice little variation. You could just crop the little bum out there. And then this one. Make me chuckle when I edit ones like that. Right, and then this one with a tiny smile, the after smile. That one's good to go. And then this one, we can crop this out quite easily. Use the grid lines to straighten here. You can see. Excellent. And then this one, just need to center it just a little bit more. That's better. That one's fine. Sometimes when you go back over, you think, oh, I just changed that a little bit. And then just add a little bit more contrast. Right, and then this. Baby's in the middle. This one, a little bit of a close-up. I'll probably just choose one of these for Mum to see. And take down a little bit of clarity. Tiny bit of black. Right, that's fine. And then this one. All right, and that's it, they're done. Right, so then I will go into library and then I'll select all the images and click export. And now I'll choose my folder. All right, so you're going to come here, you'll see hard drive up here, and now we're going to choose the folder which we're going to put it in. To edit, new folder, and this was Spencer, 8 days, create the folder, and then I add another folder which is called best. The reason why I do that is because if clients want to order prints, then I'll have a subfolder called prints, a subfolder for digitals, because I label up the file differently for every single process so that I know exactly where I am all the time. Also, when you want to create web images, then I'll have another folder which will say web. All right, so I'm going to choose that one there. And now I'm going to change the name of the file. So I just have a little hyphen so I know that these ones have been exported from Lightroom. And so that everything else stays the same. And quality 100%, JPEG, sRGB. And now I'm going to choose the size. So resize to fit, so that all my images are the same size. So the longest edge is going to be 14 inches and it's going to be 300 pixels per inch. I don't choose a sharpen, but you can do. And then I am going to export. So you can see here it's exporting 21 files. So I'm going to close this recording down and then I'm going to open up again into Photoshop.